Hello everyone, Mrs MLG here, and today I'm going to try and make a diorama for the Reaper Challenge League. My intention is to use these two grave minions that I have painted for my miniature of the day. These are Reaper figures 77537. They come in a pack of 3. But I have only painted 2 because that's all I wanted for this. This guy will get painted at some point. So my intention is to use these 2 and this little half a skeleton. And then I want to make a base, have these 2 guys looking over a grave that's going to be here, and they've dug up this guy who's coming out of the grave. So that is what I'm going to try and attempt to do. The first thing that I needed to do was to decide what material to make the base of the diorama out of. So we'll just move the little miniatures out of the way. So we had this plastic, and we also had some round bases, and we have some foam. Now I think that the foam would be the best option really, because I think what I want to do is cut out a circle on the foam and then dig out the grave in the middle, so none of these 2 really would be adequate. So I'm going to use this as a general size guide because they're going to go here, grave in the middle, guy pointing up. So I'm going to cut out the circles from the foam and then use that as my base for my diorama. So now I have my circle base, I'm going to figure out where to put my little miniatures and then draw around them so that I have a rough idea of where the grave needs to be. Then I'm going to try and cut out these bits so that the miniatures sit in better, and cut out the grave so that the skeleton is coming out of the grave. So here they are cut out. Went a bit over the top on that one. But once they're slotted in, they should be fine. This guy might need a little bit of extra, but that's the general idea. So let's carry on. So we have all these bits that I took out that I'm going to use behind this guy with the spade. I'm going to have little piles of these as earth that he's dug up from the grave, like that, to give the impression that that's the mound of earth that's come out of here. I'm just going to use some normal craft glue to make my little lump of soil. Next I'm going to try and make a gravestone out of the foam. I've made this one, but I think it's just a little bit too tall. It's higher than the miniatures, so we're going to try again. So here we go, I've cut a gravestone from the foam. So that's the basics of what we're after. I do think it looks slightly too big, but if I make it any smaller it's going to look too small. So we'll see how we get on. And it must be really important for them to be digging him up in the first place. So he's got a big gravestone, that's what I'm going with. So I'm just going to add these little bits of extra edging detail around his grave. Just try and give it a bit more detail. See what they look like. I'm now going to go over the whole thing with this normal emulsion paint to give the foam a seal before I use special miniature paint, etc. on it. So it's just a cheap tester pot. So here we are, I've given it all a coat of the normal grey emulsion. We'll wait for it to dry and then we'll do the next step. So now that's dry, I'm going to use Sterling Mud from Citadel, it's texture paint, and I'm going to use one of the Citadel tools because in the MLG household we use these for spreading this kind of technical paint. Of course you can get all these things from mightylancergames.co.uk, and I'm going to use this to make a mud effect all around to give it some extra texture as well. So while we wait for this to dry, I am going to paint the skeleton. First of all, I'm going to undercoat him with grey primer. This one over here, that's right. Here he is with the primer on. Next we're going to use Graveyard Bone. Here he is with Graveyard Bone on him, and next we're just going to use good old Agrax Earthshade from Games Workshop. Here he is, suitably dirty, like he's just been raised from the grave. While we wait for the Sterling Mud to dry, I'm going to do a little quick dry brush over the grave area with some grey. Just did a little dry brush on the grave with Ash Grey from Army Painter, Field Grey from Army Painter, and Solid Black from Reaper, just to give it some slight texture. I've added some of the mud effect to the bottom of the grave minions bases because they were grey and obviously then they wouldn't match. Going to attempt to do a little bit of dry brush around the mud effect with Flat Earth to give it a bit more texture, and then I'm going to use some various tufts. I haven't quite decided which ones yet. I've got some Army Painter ones and some Green Stuff World ones, Gamers Grass ones. Various graphs that we've got, all available from www.mightylancergames.co.uk of course, and we're going to use these as well to add some more interest to the base. And here it is finished. Put some tufts on, did a little writing on the gravestone, had to put some tape around the base because I didn't have anything else. Ideally we could have used like masking tape or something and I'd be able to paint it, but it's alright. did a little bit more object source lighting from his lantern. Hopefully you can see that shining on the gravestone. Hopefully that's worked out okay. So I hope you like it. Don't forget to visit us at www.mightylancergames.co.uk and in our Bridlington shop in East Yorkshire. Thanks a lot for watching. Give me a like and a subscribe, that would be awesome. Thank you very much.